Alright, we're going to try to get through this review rather quickly because it has a lot of questions, and it's all a review. So if you're wondering how to answer any of these, you should probably look at the previous homework, previous tests we've done, and compare what you got there with what we got here. Okay, so number one, this here, that is a definition of a function. Each input gets mapped to exactly one output. Two, isolated points. That's a discrete graph, which is what 8 here looks like. So that's what discrete looks like. The input values is called the domain. The output values is called the range. This is like clear back at the start of everything about functions. When you're writing down the quantities, you need to think of a number that can change its value just based on the situation and what people decide. So here, people are deciding on number of toppings, and then the price of the pizza is going to change as they choose more toppings. So the price of the pizza would be the dependent quantity. That's because, well, as you choose more toppings, the price is going to go up. So number of toppings would be the independent one there. 6, John here is studying for math test. Like, how long he studies is his choice, okay? So it's got some like extra details in here or whatever for his plan, but really how long he studies will be a solid number, and that's going to change depending on what he decides to do. And then the dependent quality would be like the score on the test, right? When you study more, you're going to get a better score on your test. Moving on to 7 and 8. These are both functions. If you do a vertical line test, you take a vertical line and kind of slide it from left to right. You'll see that both of these are in fact functions, as in there's no two y values above each other anywhere. 9, describe a similarity. Well, that's a similarity. They're both functions. Another part is for some of the graph, it'll be like a constant rate of change. For parts of the graph, realize this one does change its rate of change from a positive to a negative, but for part of it, that's there. It's got so they're both they got linear pieces. A difference between these two graphs. Well, 7 is continuous, as in everything's connected. It's got the solid lines, whereas 8 is a discrete. 7's an absolute value function, whereas 8 is linear. So yeah, a lot of differences, a lot of similarities. Moving on to the next page. Just knowing what function family these belong to is your first task. This one is a quadratic. All quadratics look like the U's. This one here is linear. If it's a line, it's linear. That's basically it. On 2 and 3, when you're evaluating, you're taking the number in the parenthesis and you put it in for the x. So here at g of negative 2, you're going to put in negative 2 where x used to be and then calculate. Well, 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Subtract 7 gives you negative 19. And then 3, when you plug that in, you're going to have 4 to the 5 minus 2 power, which is the same thing as 4 to the 3rd power, which is 64. And that's it for those. Moving on to 4. Here you're supposed to get slope, the y-intercept, and then the function. To get the slope, you need to pick 2 rows. I'm going to pick these 2. And you have to get the change in x. The change in y over the change in x. Always change in y over the change in x. So change from negative 1 to 1, that is 2. Change from 2 to 6, that is 4. So we get 2 over 4. That reduces down to be 1/2. Well, you got to use this slope here of 1/2 to get your y-intercept. So that says when you go up 1 in y, you go up 2 in x. So if I need to get the y-intercept, I need to get my x to be 0, which is actually just like halfway between these. You take negative 2, add 2, that'll get you to 0. Well, If you're going to add 2 to x, you have to add 1 to y. And so add 1 to -3. That's going to give you -2. So now we got these two pieces. You can write your function, right? The y equals mx plus b. Well, m is slope, so slope x plus b, which is plus -2, or you can just shrink it down to just be subtract 2. And there's your final function. Based on the table, write down the domain and range. Since it's a table, it's a specific list of numbers, make sure you do it from least to greatest. Don't do any repeats. The domain is the x values, and range is the y values. Again, do it from least to greatest. Don't do any repeats. So it's just 3, 7, 8. And that's going to be it for that. I think I'm just going to stop there and move on to the next video.